What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another entry into our Rogue Rumble series where we take a look at some overlooked or underutilized cards and we try to make some rogue deck ideas out of them. And so for this entry we are taking a look at Beedrill. And this video in particular is actually kind of special. This is our first video that was chosen for us to create by one of our patrons, Josh Paraso, over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg. Basically, depending on how much you pledge to us on there, one of the perks you can get is actually to choose a topic for a video for us to do. And so Josh wanted to see Beedrill, so here we are. But yeah, basically if you guys want to have even more say over the type of content that we put out, definitely head over there to learn more. And one other perk is that any of these videos that are chosen by our patrons will actually feature less ads than our normal videos, so that's kind of cool too. But anyways, on to the actual Beedrill deck itself. Let's take a look at it. It's kind of an older deck idea. We did, kind of build something like this when Evolutions first came out, but Beedrill kind of got some new tools to work with from Crimson Invasion, so it seemed like an interesting deck to revisit. So let's take a look at it. So this is the main attacker of the deck, Beedrill. It's the one from Evolutions, and it saw a little bit of interest when it came out for its Swarming Sting attack. For a grass and colorless energy, it does 40 damage times the number of Beedrill you have in play to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So the idea is if you get 4 Beedrill in play, you can snipe 160 anywhere on the field. So that's kind of interesting. Unfortunately, in the past, the format was a little bit faster, and Beedrill was just kind of hard to power up to get 4 stage 2s out and get 2 energy on them. It was just kind of a hard deck to really make work consistently, but like I said, we do have some new tools from from Crimson Invasion, so maybe we can breathe some new life into this deck. But yeah, Beedrill 120 hit points, kind of on the low side, but on the plus side it does have free retreat cost, which is very nice. You'll never have to worry about things getting stuck in the active spot whenever you want to play Guzma. That's kind of nice too. Poison Sting can also be a half decent backup attack for a grass energy. You do 30 and they're now poison, but if you have a choice band, that will do effectively 70 damage once you factor in the poison, so that's not too bad. But let's take a look at why we are even revisiting this deck. The first one is going to be for Kakuna. This is the big reason. So we have a new Kakuna from Crimson Invasion. It has this attack multiply for a single grass energy. Search your deck for up to 3 Kakuna and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. So this might look very similar. This is basically just water duplicates from Frogadier, but for Kakuna, which really makes Beedrill, I think a little bit more consistent to get out. We don't have Forest of Giant Plants anymore, so we don't really have a way to quickly evolve, so this multiply attack is kind of the next best thing. And, we're going to kind of build this deck kind of like we might build Greninja. That's kind of the template I was sort of working off whenever I was making this list. So Kakuna, definitely a big new part of the deck. We are also opting to choose the new Weedle from Crimson Invasion. It has 50 hit points. The old one from Evolutions only has 40. I just felt like that might be a little too risky. May as well play the one with a little bit more HP. Both attacks on both Weedles aren't that relevant, so figured it better just to get the one with more hit points. And we also have another new Beedrill we are running as well. This is the new one from Crimson Invasion. So this can kind of be your early game Beedrill that you kind of lead the game with while you're building up your other Beedrills. So let's look at it. 120 hit points, free retreat just like the other one, but it has this attack Sudden Sting for 1 grass energy, does 10 damage, and if this Pokemon evolved from Kakuna during this turn, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. So like I said, this can kind of be a good Beedrill to lead the game with. You can kind of strand your opponent in the active spot while you take another turn or so to get some more Beedrills into play. That's kind of the thought process here. Not the best attacker, but Sharp Sting can actually be a half decent attack. If you have a choice band, it'll do 90 damage for just 1 grass energy. So it's just, the whole deck's not based around this card, but like I said, it can be a decent early game attacker. So next up, the other, key component of the deck is going to be a 2/2 Octillery line. So we're playing Octillery for its Abyssal Hand ability. Once during your turn before you attack, you may draw until you have 5 cards in hand. So we're trying to get out as many Beedrills as possible, and just playing 1 supporter per turn, honestly, is just not going to cut it to draw into everything that we need every turn. So we're playing Octillery just to give us a little bit of extra draw power to dig through our deck to hit all those evolution pieces that we're trying to get. Also, it is worth noting we do play counter energy in this deck, which we'll get to in a minute. So we do have the option to use Hug if we choose to as well, but that's very few and far between when you'll use the attack, but you do have the option at least. We're playing one copy of Cobalion. This is another card that we are including because we are running counter energy. So we're playing it for its Revenge Blast attack for 2 metal or just 1 counter energy. It does 30 plus 30 more for each prize card your opponent has taken. So much like Greninja, this deck will go down on prizes first, and you are going to be playing from behind pretty much most of the entire game. So Cobalion is definitely good in those types of situations, since we are going to be behind on prizes most of the game, and we can just abuse it for a single energy attachment. So it seemed like a decent little late game sweeper. Also too, if our opponents are doing very well at picking off our Beedrills, preventing us from ever having a high damage output with them, Cobalion can kind of come in and put in some work. And then the last Pokemon in the list is just going to be one single copy of Tapu Lele GX for that Wonder Tag ability. So this might look really weird because most decks play, 2 or 3 copies of Tapu Lele, but like I said, I'm kind of using Greninja as a blueprint to build this deck. Greninja usually plays no more than 1 copy of Tapu Lele, and just because bench space is such a luxury in this deck, you're going to want ideally 4 different Beedrill pieces, whether it's Weedles, Kakunas, or whatever it might be. So that's 4 bench spots taken up right there. You'll have 1 Octillery in play ideally, so that's 5. So that only leaves you 1 other available bench space. So we can't really, I think, even afford to build this deck like a traditional deck that plays maybe 3 Lele. So that's why we're playing the 1. And another reason we are playing these particular counts is because if you notice, we have 4 Weedles, and the rest of our basics we have 2 Remoraid, 1 Lele, 1 Cobalion. So we have a 50-50 chance of starting with Weedle if we run any other more basics in this deck. That is going to decrease our odds of starting with a Weedle, which is what we don't want to do. So that is going to be the Pokemon line. On to the supporters. 4 Sycamore, 4 N, pretty standard inclusions, but we are also playing 1 copy of Lily. So since we aren't playing a high Lele count, we can't always guarantee we are going to have one of our 4 Sycamores or Ends, so I wanted to at least put 1 other draw supporter in the deck. So draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, or if it's your first turn, draw until you have 8 cards in your hand. And another reason we are playing this is because we are actually not playing Bridget in this deck either, so Lily provides us another decent first turn option if we choose to take advantage of it. Only playing 2 copies of Guzma to choose what we want to take knockouts on. We are only playing 2 just because we are playing 2 copies of Counter Catcher. So this is another card from Crimson Vision that came out. You can only play this card if you have more prizes remaining than your opponent, but then you get to switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. So we are normally going to go down on prizes first, so Counter Catcher is definitely pretty good in decks that are slow like that and are slow to take prizes. So this is kind of nice. We can use Counter Catcher, maybe to strand something in the active spot and snipe around that if need be. So definitely some cool plays you can do with Counter Catcher. But like I said, just feels like a natural fit since this deck is normally behind on prizes. So we also have 4 copies of Ultra Ball, pretty standard inclusion, but we are also playing 2 copies of Nest Ball. So search your deck for our basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench, and we're also playing 3 copies of Evo. So to search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it on that Pokemon. So just another way to get out our Beedrills and Kakunas. We are choosing to play this over Timer Ball just because Po-Town is definitely a thing in the format right now. Evo Soda will allow us to get around that, so that is the reason we're playing this one. And so you guys might be thinking, well, why aren't you playing Bridget, since I did just mention that. And the reason is you really don't want that many bench Pokemon in play because you need the bench space for Kakunas whenever you use Multiply. So we're not playing Bridget basically for the same reason that Greninja does not play Bridget. You need the extra bench space for once you use Multiply, or in the case of Greninja, whenever you use Water Duplicates. So we're also playing 2 copies of Field Blower just to discard tool cards, 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Thought about playing Revitalizer, but I kind of prefer the flexibility that Rescue Stretcher gives us. We can get 1 from our discard pot into our hand or get 3 back into the deck, whereas Revitalizer only gets 2. So just playing this just for the flexibility it gives us. Can also grab things like Tapu Lele, Cobalion, etc. And then onto our tool cards are playing 2 copies of Floatstone just to give free retreat to maybe a couple of the things that we're running like Octillery or Cobalion. But then also 3 copies of Choice Band just to boost our damage output, just because Beedrill is kind of a weak attacker. We need extra ways to do a little bit more damage. So going on to the energy cards, of course 7 Grass Energy, but then the interesting card in the list is going to be 4 copies of Counter Energy. So it provides colorless energy, but like Counter Catcher, if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, and it's attached to not a GX or EX, this card provides 2 energies of every type. So it's basically like a double rainbow energy if you're behind on prizes. And so in the past, one thing that made Beedrill kind of difficult to get set up is its annoying 2 energy cost, and it's really not a high amount of energy to attack with, but it's just very awkward to keep streaming Beedrills throughout the course of the game. Previously, whenever I was trying out this deck, I ran things like EXP share to make sure we always had enough energy to use Beedrill's Swarming Sting attack every turn. But since we have Counter Energy, there's not really a need for that anymore. So we can play Counter Energy, and that actually frees up our tools to play better tools like Choice Band as well. So Counter Energy seems like a natural fit in this deck. So yeah guys, that is going to be the list we are going to try out. I do have to admit though, I don't think this deck is that competitive, but if nothing else, it's definitely a fun one you can try out maybe at your local league or something like that. So sorry Josh, I don't think this is going to win any tournaments, but we'll definitely have some fun with it here on PTCGO. So let's switch over to the battle portion of the video and we'll show you how this looks in action. Alright guys, so it looks like we have ourselves a game here. We're just going to call it a coin flip. And we do win. That is definitely a good thing. We definitely want to get these Beedrill set up as quick as possible. But unfortunately, we do have a mulligan. So it's not too unexpected though. We only play 8 basics, so it does happen from time to time with this deck. Our opponent has some Arceus sleeves, a Shining Legends deck box, so not too many clues what we might be going up against. Could be like an Arceus deck or something like that, but I'm highly doubting that. But here we do actually have a Weedle to start with, and this opening hand is half decent and well as well. We have a Remoraid, Ultra Ball, and N, so plenty of options to work with. And nice, we actually top deck another Weedle. That's definitely good. We can, yeah, I feel like we bench the Remoraid. I feel like there's not too much risk in doing so. And we could N, but similarly to Greninja, you know, a lot of times you can just hang on to your hand, play your evolution, then just like play your supporter to get an energy, and then you're good to go. So I might just hold on to our hand, concealing the strength of it since we do have the Kakuna ready to go. And our opponent is playing, looks like some sort of Savali deck. So we see a Shining Lugia, a Rayquaza, a couple of Type Nulls, and we see a Fire Energy come down with a Max Elixir. So it's some sort of like Fire Savali GX variant. And so this actually might not be that good for us. Savali can easily hit for 120, which knocks out our Beedrills in one hit. Shining Lugia also can hit for 130 pretty easily as well. So these attackers are definitely pretty good against our deck. So we'll have to see what we can make happen here. But our opponent is going to get a Sophocles with their Tapu Lele. Definitely not a card you see too often. I imagine they're playing it just to get the discarding effect and maybe put energy in their discard to get out with Savali. But this is actually a pretty good hand. We have the Kakuna, so yeah, let's definitely evolve the active. We have Evo Soda, and what I might do here is get Octillery, because that way whenever we end, if we get a Grass Energy, we can just get all 3 Kakunas right onto our bench. So I might do that. And we could Ultra Ball to get out another Kakuna, but I think I might just end here. And okay, we draw back into a Kakuna, but that's fine. I don't mind manually evolving. The big thing here is we need a Grass Energy, so let's play this Ultra Ball. We'll get rid of a couple cards out of our hand here, and we'll grab ourselves another Weedle just in case one of our Kakunas get knocked out or something like that. And so we need a Grass Energy, so Abyssal Hand for 3, and we whiff. Okay, so that is definitely a pretty bad. We have kind of a slow deck as it is, so whiffing the energy attachment to get out the rest of our Kakunas is pretty bad, I won't lie guys. So hopefully we don't get too punished for it. I wish we had a float stone even. That would be fine to get Cocoon out of the active spot at least. But our opponent still needs a Savali GX and a DCE to knock us out. So let's see if they're able to get it. So we're going to discard an energy with Scorched Earth. And they do big blow, like I said, whiffing that grass energy there. But let's see if we can recover from it. We do have this Rescue Stretcher in hand, so we can at least get the Weedle and Kakuna back. So our opponent is going to do 120 to Kakuna, and what I might do here is I might actually attack with the new Crimson Invasion Beedrill, because we're going to need to buy a turn or so in order to get set up. So yeah, let's definitely evolve into that guy. If we hit the grass energy, we can at least paralyze this Savali and keep it stranded in the active spot for a turn. So what do we do here? I definitely want to play this Rescue Stretcher, but I'm just debating what I want to discard with this Ultra Ball. I'm definitely going to get rid of the Beedrill no matter what, but here I'm just trying to think, do I want to use N or Sycamore? And if I want N, I'm going to have to bench the Lele, discarding the Sycamore. Our opponent has a pretty big hand, so I think that's what I might do. We'll discard the Sycamore, and we are going to get Kakuna out of the deck. I did see we have Cobalion in there. That could be good at some point as well too. Here I'm going to Rescue Stretcher. I'm going to shuffle those 3 Pokemon back into the discard pile, and then we can use Abyssal Hand before we Lele. And okay, so we do get the Choice Band and Grass Energy, both good cards to hit off of that Abyssal Hand. And here we can play Tapu Lele and grab ourselves an N. So I hate giving up the bench space to this Tapu Lele, but our opponent's hand is just really big. I don't want to give them maybe an out to a Guzma or something like that. Okay, so we do hit a Weedle. We'll play the Nest Ball. Let's get another Weedle in play. I definitely want to go that route. Then we can evolve into this other... Yeah, we could have evolved into Beedrill, right? Or wait, no, I think we evolved into Kakuna that turn. But anyways, so here we're going to do 40 with Sudden Sting and then 10 damage in between turns. We'll put the Savali up to 50 damage. Your opponent has a Rescue Stretcher. What are they going to get back? A Tapu Lele. That is kind of gross. That tells me we are probably going to see a Guzma if I just had to guess. I could be wrong though. Your opponent's going to get rid of a Bridget and a Shining Lugia, I think it was. And getting out another Savali. So I'm still waiting for that Lele to come down. Like I said, I'm imagining we're going to see a Guzma here. And we're going to see, it looks like a Fighting Energy come down onto Savali. That's interesting. And yep, they are going to get the Guzma, just kind of as expected there, unfortunately. And okay, they're actually going to go for our Lele. I'm actually okay with that because I would not have had a way to evolve into one of these Beedrills we have in hand. So they're going to do Rebel GX, doing 250. At least this is going to make them more susceptible to an N. That's the only good thing we have going for us. Alright, so we have a Counter Catcher, but really it's kind of useless I think right now just because we can't stall anything since our opponent has Savali GX in play. And this is probably the only Pokemon we really want to attack. So I think what we can do here is we can attach for turn, use Abyssal Hand, hopefully hit a supporter. And we don't. Okay, so let's see what our opponent's going to opt to do. They can attack with this active one if they want to. And here they're actually just going to do that. I'm fine with that. That way we don't have to burn the Counter Catcher to take a knockout. Actually, I probably would have preferred to play our hand down lower with Octillery. That would have been nice. And oh my god, this hand is not that good. We really needed some Kakunas. And Abyssal Hand, what do we get? We get Sycamore. That's actually kind of bad because I think our other Rescue Stretcher is prized, but we kind of have to because once this Beedrill gets knocked out, we're not going to have any Swarming Sting. To the active, we can take a knockout. And taking our first knockout, going down to 4 prizes. And actually hit some pretty decent cards off of our prizes. We have the Choice Bands. That means we can actually knock out another Savali GX in one hit. But unfortunately, I think we're still in a bad spot, guys, because all our opponent has to do is knock out a Beedrill this turn, and even if we return KO this Silvally GX, Shining Lugia will be able to knock us out with its second attack. So I hate to say it, but I think that might be checkmate for us at this point. But you know what? Let's play it out. Let's see what we can make happen. We're at least going to go down fighting. So as expected, our opponent is going to knock out Beedrill. Our only hope is they don't attach the energy to Lugia, but unfortunately they do. I was going to say our only hope is to maybe, if our opponent did not get the energy on Lugia, we could have maybe tried to get an N and put them at like one prize, or I'm sorry, one card in hand to prevent them from taking a knockout. But I don't know what else we could really do. So here we can N, I guess. It doesn't really hurt at this point, I suppose. But here, what we can do is, yeah, I guess we can Ultra Ball. Why not? Like I said, it doesn't hurt anything at this point. Grab ourselves another Kakuna. And sure, let's draw some more cards. So nothing else we can really do to delay the inevitable. So here we're going to take a knockout with Revenge Blast for a whopping 210. So Cobalion definitely putting in some work here before he gets blown away by this Lugia. So yeah, our opponent's just going to do Aero Force for 130, knocking out this Cobalion. And unfortunately we are going to lose, but at least we did get pretty close here. We got all the way down to 2 prizes with Beedrill, which is more than I expected whenever I was building this deck. So definitely a fun little deck to show off if nothing else. And a big thanks to Josh and the rest of our supporters over on Patreon, for helping support the channel. And like I said earlier in the video too, guys, if you want to learn about how to have a bigger say in the type of content that we create, definitely visit our Patreon /RareCandyTCG to learn more and about the other perks that you get from becoming a patron. But as usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and also don't forget to check out our online store, RareCandyTCG.com. If you can pick up something to help support the channel, that would also mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.